At 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning, the skyline of Caracas was lit up, not by lights, but by explosions. In a move that shocked the world, U.S. Special Operations Forces descended on the heart of Venezuela. The U.S. military calls it absolute resolve. Over 200 elite soldiers bypassed air defenses to hit Maduro's bunker at the Fort Tiuna complex. There was no shock and awe, it was targeted. 75 casualties reported, including Maduro's Cuban guard. But for the U.S., 0 lives lost. Reports later described an unseen weapon, one that left people bleeding from the nose, dizzy, and violently ill. The justification? A 2020 narco-terrorism indictment and a massive $50 million bounty. The U.S. says he's a criminal. His supporters say this is an illegal kidnapping. The capture marks a radical shift in the Trump corollary, the idea that the U.S. will directly intervene to remove leaders it deems a threat to the hemisphere. Now Maduro sits in a Manhattan federal court, pleading not guilty to charges of cocaine trafficking. But the bigger question remains, can one country simply fly into another and take its leader? The UN says it's a violation of sovereignty. The White House says it's peace through strength. But here's where it gets dangerous. In Beijing, they aren't just watching, they're taking notes. For years, the US has used international law to tell China it can't take Taiwan by force. Now, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs is calling the US a, quote, hypocritical rogue actor. Their argument is simple. If the US can ignore sovereignty to secure its interests in Venezuela, why can't China do the same in Taiwan? Analysts fear China will now justify a surgical extraction of Taiwan's leadership, calling it a law enforcement action, exactly the language the US used for Maduro. And then there's Russia. In Moscow, the reaction has been a mix of outrage and envy. Pro-Kremlin channels are calling the Maduro raid the operation we should have done in Kyiv. The Kremlin sees a trade-off. If Trump wants a sphere of influence in the Americas, he might be willing to let Putin have his in Eastern Europe. It's 19th century great power politics, played with 21st century weapons. We are seeing the death of the rules-based order. We're moving into a world where the strong do what they can, and the weak suffer what they must. The map is being redrawn, and for the first time in 80 years, the lines aren't being drawn with ink. They're being drawn with force.